Sometimes in golf, the biggest controversy doesn't come from a club slam, a rules fight, or some wild post-round rant. On the surface, it looked simple. Cameron Young had just taken over a huge moment, played fearless golf. Fans heard something very different depending on what they wanted to hear. Some people heard respect, maybe even classless, and the craziest part, the truth might be sitting somewhere in the middle. Because once you look at what happened on that course, and what both of these guys were carrying into that final round, this story becomes a lot bigger than one reaction. And before we go any further, if you truly love golf, if this game means something to you, and if you enjoy stories that go deeper than just scores and highlights, then make sure you subscribe and become part of this golf family. Coming into that final day, Cameron Young wasn't just playing well, he was in complete control. This wasn't one of those lucky weeks where a guy gets hot for a few holes and hangs on. This felt different. It felt sharp, serious, measured. He had the course. He had the pace, a little wider than normal. Now put yourself in Scottie Scheffler's shoes for a second. You're the world number one, and you know when somebody is flat out beating the course into submission. Scottie played with Cameron Young 3, the ball striking, the control, the putting, the total command. And when the round was over, Scottie didn't give fans some dramatic speech. He didn't sugarcoat it either. He basically said what a lot of players probably felt, but couldn't say better. Cameron Young was unbelievable, and for the first 27 holes, it was like he didn't miss anything. But here's the part nobody talks about. In golf, tone matters almost as much as words. And that's where fans got split. Because some people looked at Scottie's reaction and heard real respect. Honest respect. They felt like the praise came wrapped in frustration, like maybe Scottie was giving Cameron credit, but only because he had no choice. And that's what makes this such a good golf story. Not because someone yelled, not because somebody crossed a line, but because the reaction felt human, messy, a little uncomfortable, not polished for social media, just real. If Scottie had smiled bigger, maybe fewer people would have cared. If he had sounded more emotional, maybe no controversy at all. But Scheffler has never really been that kind of player. He's not performative. He doesn't always package his emotions in a way that makes everyone comfortable. He tends to sound like a guy still replaying missed chances in his head while answering questions. For some fans, that's authenticity. For others, it comes off as dismissive. And this is where everything changed. Because Cameron Young's week wasn't only about great golf. It was also about character. On the second hole of the final round, while leading the tournament, he called a penalty on himself after his ball moved at address. And the crazy thing is, a lot of people watching at home could barely even see it. Some cameras struggled to pick it up. Plenty of players in that situation might have said nothing, taken a breath, and moved on. Cameron Young didn't. He called it on himself. Think about how rare that moment is in modern sports. Big stage, big money, big pressure, and he chooses honesty when almost nobody would have known. That changes the whole emotional frame of the tournament, because now Scottie Scheffler isn't just watching a guy stripe it and drain putts. He's watching a player dominate the field, and in the middle of that dominance, stop to hold himself accountable. That matters in golf. Actually, it matters more in golf than almost anywhere else. This sport still asks players to police themselves in moments where integrity can cost them. Wait till you hear what happened next. After the penalty, Cameron Young didn't wobble. He didn't lose control. He didn't unravel. He made par anyway and kept marching. That might be the most impressive thing of all. Not just the honesty, but the composure right after it. It's one thing to do the right thing. It's another thing to do the right thing and then keep playing like the pressure never touched you. That's when this stopped feeling like just another good week from a talented player. It started feeling like one of those defining golf moments, the kind that tells you a player may be stepping into a different level, not just physically gifted, not just in form, but ready. Ready for the weight that comes with being one of the names people circle before big tournaments. And suddenly, Scottie's reaction starts to look a little different, doesn't it? Maybe what some fans called classless was actually something else. Maybe it was the look of a competitor realizing he had just watched someone play a brand of golf that leaves no room for excuses. Maybe it was the frustration of being good, really good, and still not even close to enough. Because that's the brutal truth about elite golf. Sometimes you don't lose because you played badly. Sometimes you lose because the other guy turned the whole place into his personal highlight reel. Still, I understand why fans got divided. Golf fans love class. They love grace. They love those moments when one player wins and the other says exactly the right thing. But they also love fire. They love honesty. They love players who clearly care. And sometimes those things collide, because a player who really wants to win doesn't always sound warm right after finishing second, especially not a player like Scottie, who measures himself against the absolute highest standard every single week. And here's the uncomfortable truth. We often say we want honesty from athletes, but only when it sounds nice. When Scottie said Cameron was holding everything and that it was nuts, some fans heard admiration. Others heard a subtle way of saying, well, what can you do when a guy gets that hot? But maybe both are true. Maybe that's exactly why the reaction landed the way it did. It wasn't a scripted compliment. It was respect mixed with disappointment. It was praise from a guy who hated losing while still admitting he got beat by brilliance. And that's more human than a perfect answer. But here's the bigger story hiding underneath all of this. Cameron Young has been building toward moments like this for a while. Golf fans have known the talent, the ball striking, the potential, the feeling that eventually this guy was going to stop being dangerous and start becoming a problem for everybody, a real one. And when you win a huge event this way, wire to wire, with honesty under pressure and total control over your game, that changes how people see you. Now look at the other side. Scottie Scheffler is still Scottie Scheffler, still one of the best in the world, still right there, still so good that his frustrating weeks look like dream weeks for almost everybody else. But that's what makes the reaction powerful. He wasn't reacting to some random upset. He was reacting to the reality that another elite guy may have just raised the bar. That's why golf fans were so hooked by this moment. It wasn't really about whether Scottie used the perfect tone. It was about what the moment represented. The top player in the world looking across and seeing another guy catch fire in a way that felt real, sustainable, and maybe even a little dangerous for everybody else on tour. And this is the part that stays with me most. Class in golf is easy to talk about when everything feels comfortable. It's easy when the cameras love you, the putts are falling, and the story writes itself. But real class usually shows up in harder moments. Cameron Young showed it by calling a penalty on himself when he didn't have to hide from the truth. And maybe, just maybe, Scottie showed a version of it too, by not faking some over-the-top reaction he didn't genuinely feel. Because respect doesn't always sound pretty. Sometimes respect sounds like a quiet admission that the other guy was simply better. Sometimes it sounds like, yeah, he was unbelievable. And sometimes in golf, that's the highest compliment there is. In the end, this is why stories like this matter. Not because we need villains, not because every reaction needs outrage, but because golf is one of the few sports where honesty, pressure, pride, and personality all collide in these strange little moments that fans can argue about for days. Cameron Young gave us a performance people won't forget. Scottie Scheffler gave us a reaction people can't stop reading into. And together they gave golf fans exactly what makes this game special: greatness, tension, and just enough mystery to keep the conversation alive. So now I want to ask you, was Scottie Scheffler's reaction actually classless? Or was it just the honest response of a competitor who knew he had just been beaten by something special? Let me know in the comments, and if you love golf stories that go deeper than the final leaderboard, stay with the channel. We've got a lot more coming.